why are you here and what is your life and what you want to do? You can start from anywhere, but perhaps you said you wrote 13 books or something?
Yeah, do you want to go back to the beginning or
yeah, start from the
start
beginning.
from the beginning?
Yeah.
Because you were wondering like why I do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, I'm already 2 years older than my father has become.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always very, very good in saving money
Mm-hmm.
for later, right?
Right.
But what if there is no later?
Right.
So at some point I was like, yeah, but if I save all my money, I'm not living.
Right.
And then my father died at 54.
Wow.
And I was thinking like, okay, I just got to do something now with my money.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always working everywhere in the world, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then at 29, I decided to come home and work in the Netherlands. But I couldn't be in an office. I couldn't work in between four walls. So the more boring my work was getting,
Mm-hmm.
the more eager I was to go and explore the world.
Do something.
And it's got to last as long as possible.
Yeah.
So I looked at the map and I found that if you go from the south of South America to the north of North America,
Mhm.
like the Pan American
Right.
Highway, that's a long ways, right?
Yeah.
And then if I do it by bicycle,
Yeah.
it will take me even longer. So
Right.
that's how it started. And I thought that after like 1.5 years that was going to be the end of my...
What time was it? What age were
that
you at
was
the time?
2002 and 2003.
Yeah.
So I was like 34,
Mm-hmm.
roundabout. And so it was going to be the end of my traveling existence, like the grand finale. But it became the beginning of a new life because I loved like being on the road, living from 5 bags, because you make your life so much more simple.
Right.
If you only have your 5 bags on your bike and that's it,
Yeah.
you don't have to think in the morning like where
That's
is
right.
what.
That's right. Yeah.
Or like you get mail in the mail and,
But
and
how
you
about the
don't really
nail
like it.
cutter? I used to live in the car and it was
Yeah,
a
I do
difficult
have a nail cutter.
problem.
I do have a nail cutter. Yeah, so I started living out of 5 bags, and then I went after my first trip. When I got home, I was writing an article for a magazine.
How long was the trip? First trip?
18 months
This is in the South America?
from the bottom of South America to
All
the
the
top
way.
of North America. So
Wow.
all the way, 28,000 kilometers.
Wow.
Yes, in 18 months.
So you wrote a book about,
Yeah, well, I wrote the article, and then a publisher
yeah.
was contacting me, like, can you write a book about
Mhm,
it? I said,
yeah.
well, yeah, I wrote every day. So
The journal.
that became my first book,
Yeah.
yes. And then I was doing conferences about it, and I really, really wanted to go again. I
But
didn't-
before you go further,
Yeah.
on that trip, can you capture I don't know what would be the right question, but the most interesting part of the trip that you remember from that?
The surprises.
Surprises are the most
Yeah.
interesting, such as?
The thing that you don't expect. Like for example, I was going to see some whales
Mhm.
in Mexico, and of course the whales were the big attraction.
Yeah.
But the spot where it started, I camped there at night, and fortunately there were 2 other people camping with a motorhome.
Yeah.
And then you have to gather a group in the morning
Mhm.
to go out whale watching,
Mhm.
and they paid for me.
And that's just a,
Things like
Out of the
just
blue.
out of the blue, they didn't even know me.
yeah.
Or
Is this the American people?
yeah,
or-
these were
okay.
Americans,
Well, you
yes.
had a good conversation, had an interesting
Yeah, we had a
time.
nice contact. Yeah, they were like my parents' age.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah.
So you can somewhat easily connect to the people. Is that how you feel that you can?
From profession, I'm a tour guide.
Oh, okay.
So I was guiding, mainly guiding
So
bus
that means
tours in the
you
US.
can read the people well too, probably to choose certain.
I go with my intuition.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Intuition says this is okay, this is not okay.
Right. And just
Yeah.
the body language and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so that's
what I
the
trust.
first trip.
Also, for example, one night I camped in the middle of nowhere
Right.
in the Mojave,
Yeah.
no, in the Baja California,
Yeah,
the
Baja, right.
peninsula
Yeah.
of Mexico. And there was this one guy, he was an old veteran, had one leg, and he had made this whole complex with empty plastic bottles.
Yeah.
And he let me camp, and the first question was, do you want to take a shower? And I'm like, what a strange question that is if you are a man and I'm a woman, you know.
Yeah.
But what he meant is that if I wanted to take a shower, he had to heat some water. And he put,
prepare for that.
yeah, he had to prepare for it. So he put this whole bucket of water on to heat.
Yeah.
And then he had a special place like inside a little caravan where you can put like the water over you, because there was no real shower.
But not many people visit there.
No,
it sounded like,
no.
right?
So he's always so happy when a cyclist is passing by, you know. Yeah.
So that's the
So
kind of
that's the kind of
connection
things,
to
yeah.
that.
And it's not the big attractions that make these trips. It's the people that you meet.
I'll just give you one example. I was in India, visiting a place where the Buddha was enlightened and so forth, moving around, and there's a village that I passed through, and I had the car someone was driving because it's dangerous if I take a bus, and there's people with a stick and hitting something on the ground to wheel to be wheat to break up so that they can eat or something like that. That's the most fascinating stop I had, and they're all smiling and show me the house, this and that. It's different from Calcutta and Mumbai, the people, the money and
Yeah, but mostly on the countryside is
countryside.
where you cannot connect really easy with the people.
So it was
They were very surprised that on this trip we spent the night at somebody's house in Japan, because Japanese people normally don't really invite
not
very easy.
Yeah, right.
But we were sitting at this little temple complex, and then this guy comes up and he says, well, but where are you gonna sleep? I said, oh, we're thinking about putting the tent over there. And he says, no, come home with me.
Where was it?
On Shikoku.
You were in Shikoku. Wow.
Yeah.
In the rural part of the Shikoku.
Yeah.
Program.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt, but you can go with the flow of whatever you were going to say.
Yeah, so after my very first trip, when I came home, I really thought that, because it's tough on a bicycle, yeah? You have very little stuff with you, it's tough every day, it can rain, it can be way too hot, you go up the mountain, sometimes more than 1,000 altimeters a day. So I thought, I don't want to cycle again, but I do want to travel. So
can I ask one more question? I asked the interesting memory, but what was the worst case of the difficult hurdles that you have to overcome in the first trip?
No, the worst what happened is that in Guatemala, two people with machine guns came onto the road. And I saw them, and in like a split second, I decided to put my bike down the hill.
Yeah.
Because I was going uphill pretty slowly. So I went racing down the hill, in the hope that they would not be shooting, and they didn't. Yeah. So that was, and then I didn't dare to continue by bicycle. So we hitchhiked with two people in a pickup truck, and I was really like putting stuff in front of me, like I hope they not gonna shoot me. And then from Antigua, because it was just reaching Antigua de Guatemala, we decided to do the rest of Guatemala by bus. This was in 2002. Yes.
So there's something like that happening.
Yeah.
But you are still okay.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Yeah. But my second trip was actually not by bicycle.
Okay.
I went from the Netherlands to South Africa by car.
Okay. That's a long way too.
We did, yeah. That was 30,000 kilometers or something to go.
Why did you want to do that? Different
because
experience?
I wanted to see Africa.
Of course.
And I saw 30 countries in 1 year.
Right.
But traveling by car.
Yeah.
And then I did meet, there was a harness around you. When you're traveling by car, you are sitting in your own luxury thingy and you're watching the outside world. So I really, really liked it, and it was the ideal way to see Africa, but I missed my bicycle.
Yeah.
Because with your bicycle, you come and cycle next to people. Like in Bolivia, I would be cycling next to this guy, and he says like, how much is your bicycle? And I would say like, well, about 1 month's salary.
Yeah.
And he says, mine as well. You see?
Yeah.
So it's just that little small talk, but it's nice that you can actually cycle and talk to the
I
people
don't
at the
think so
same
because
time.
you can stop any moment, and driving a car is kind of speedy, and you cannot
Also,
just adjust to that.
it's
Right?
it's much slower if you
Yeah,
go by
yeah.
bicycle, and I love to take photos, and you can really have the time to look around and frame your pictures,
Yeah.
and you can stop anywhere, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
enjoy
So
the meeting part of the
yeah, the meeting the
and
people part.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I wanted to continue. I wanted to do more. So it took a little while
Well,
because
the second one, did you do it by yourself?
no,
Again?
that was with a friend.
Yeah. Right.
He
Okay.
already had the car, so that
Okay.
was easy. And then it took a while because my next big bicycle trip was in 2013
Mm-hmm.
and 14.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 11 years later.
Mm-hmm. So by that
10
time,
years
how
later.
many books have you written?
I wrote a book on Africa as well.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go to visit my girlfriend, a girlfriend, for her birthday
Mm-hmm.
by bicycle.
Yeah.
But she lived in Adelaide, Australia.
Yeah.
So I started in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And 15 months later, I was in Australia. And I crossed, like, the finish line
Yeah.
in Australia was
Yeah.
exactly her birthday.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But
So I managed.
that went through all the Central Asia,
Central Asia, yeah.
Russia.
I was in Iran,
Oh, wow.
yes. And
Lots of dangers there too. No.
no, Iran.
I've
people
heard
are-
lots of
the
stories
people
of-
are so nice. You can never compare people to the way their government is,
Hmm.
because that's not the same.
Right. Yeah.
I was in China for 3 months cycling. I mean, I met the nicest people, and everybody wanted to talk to me, but they don't speak much English,
Right.
so it was difficult. But I remember I was like 165 kilometers without any village because I was in the desert.
Wow.
And then finally I saw, oh, there's a gas station, and I was already thinking Coca-Cola. And then the gas station wasn't open yet. They
Right.
were still building it.
Yeah.
But these people building it, they saw the disappointment on my face, and they had some pears from their garden or
Right.
something. And they said, oh, you want some?
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, put them here. And I opened one of my bags, and I put like 16 pears in my bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people in China are... after 3 months in China, I didn't want to leave.
Wow.
I
So
didn't
you
wanna-
use the word the government people and the people, especially in rural countries. There's a huge gap
There
in
is a
between.
huge
And it's
difference
fairly
in how
similar any
people are.
place
Yeah,
in
any
the
place
world.
you go, any
Yeah.
place you go. And the people that gave me the most, or like that I felt like this is extraordinary, was
Right.
Uzbekistan.
Hmm.
In Uzbekistan, I don't know if it's their religion that
Mhm.
they have to give something to people who are traveling,
Mm-hmm.
but
You got lots of things.
yeah, I got so much stuff I couldn't carry it
Oh,
on my bicycle.
wow.
You would sit at the market, I buy an ice cream, yeah? As soon as I finish the ice cream, somebody comes to give you some melon. Then from the other side, they think, oh, we gotta give something too, bread. Then, I don't know what, at some point I was like, I gotta go because I cannot eat this all, you know?
Are
Yeah.
there not many people passing through those villages? You think that's the reason, or you
No,
don't
I
know?
think they are just
just the way?
respect for travelers
Yeah.
or people who are, they look at it like a pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
So then they want to give you something.
Well, that's why I was still remembering this Indian story, the village, and they were smiling, and I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still love the pictures that they've taken.
Even in Iran, it was such an honor to have somebody from outside Iran coming to stay at your house.
Mm.
They would sometimes fight about me. Like, where is she gonna sleep, you know? Yeah, I would always go with the people who I met the first, because they were first, right?
So this is the fun part of the pleasure,
Yeah,
happy part of the,
happy part of the trip.
and meeting people.
Yeah. The
And
rest
you
of-
don't speak much, but you know, kind of communicate and.
And nowadays, it's really easy with Google Translate on
Oh,
your
because
phone.
that's right. Yeah.
You can just, talk over the phone, you know.
So this one.
I
Was,
even had one dinner one night with some Chinese policemen. like three policemen.
Yeah.
And because I ended up in a village where you could only go to certain hotels as a foreigner. You have
Right.
to go to
Oh,
the
is that right?
specific
Yeah,
foreigner
yeah.
hotels. And there were only 2 hotels, but they were way too expensive and they had no light and it was not worth it. So I didn't want to go there. So the only other thing they could offer me is to sleep at the police station. I said, that's okay. That's free. And then they took me out for dinner as well. And then you talk on the phone, yeah.
You carry a tent?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you need, you can put the tent up
Yeah,
any
I can
place.
sleep anywhere, but in that particular part of China, in Kashgar and the Tibetan area, around Tibetan area or in the Himalayas,
Wow.
the Chinese don't really allow you to camp.
Yeah.
I do it anyway. As long as they don't see me, it's okay.
Yeah.
But on this last trip that I'm on it now, right now, they found me. I was already put up my tent and
Yeah,
everything. I was
yeah,
inside my
yeah.
tent, and they wouldn't. They were knocking on my tent. I had to come with them. Not allowed to camp. And they wanted to take me like a village 80 kilometers further down the road, and I said, no, I'll get there tomorrow. I'm not gonna go and hitchhike. I want
Right.
to cycle every kilometer. So in the end, they took me 4 kilometers back
Right.
to a place where there was actually no hotel for foreigners, but they made an exception.
Yeah.
But at least I was in a hotel. That's what they wanted.
So is that the basic feel that you found a way that you don't need to be afraid of the situation, but people are, in general, especially,
In general, it's very,
very
good.
good.
Yeah, I'm more rebellious than most people.
What do you mean rebellious in what?
Rebellious. You've learned to find your way around
Yeah.
around things that are basically
Not legal.
totally legal, but
Right, I know.
it also doesn't do any harm.
Right.
Yeah, so in
The
that way,
borderline.
yeah, I look.
The
yeah.
street smart, I call it.
Street
I'm
smart.
kind of like that, you
Yeah.
have an intuitive sense of which area may be
Mhm.
appropriate. So
Yeah.
that went all the way, and how long was it from the Netherlands to Adelaide?
To Adelaide, 15 months.
Yeah.
15 months. Also 28,000 kilometers. So that trip I cycled faster than my first
So
one.
you were talking about China, and then you went down to Vietnam and those places, Indonesia
no,
and
I did-
so forth?
I did Laos,
Yeah.
Thailand,
Yeah,
Burma or Myanmar,
yeah,
Malaysia, Singapore,
yeah.
and then part of Indonesia, and then I went to Darwin in Australia, and I cycled all the way around to Adelaide. So I
Wow.
did another 7,000 kilometers in Australia.
So you're a strong woman.
I think it's determined, more like
You built
very
to
determined.
suit that purpose.
Yeah, if I have something in my head,
Yeah,
I gotta do it. I gotta do it,
yeah.
one way or the other.
Any most dangerous event in that trip? No?
No, because Asia is the safest continent in this world. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, all the way through Asia.
Myanmar too.
Yeah,
In
even
Myanmar there
well,
was some political
Myanmar. It was that was just before that all these
Right,
political
okay.
things started.
Yeah.
But what we did have is that because I was cycling with a friend
Yeah.
through Myanmar, that once we got over the river to the side where this Rohingya live a little bit, there would always be a guy on a little motorbike following us.
Mm.
And then when we changed district, he would stop and there would be another one. The worst part is that we wanted to camp at night,
Yeah.
but we couldn't lose these people. And
Yeah.
then at some point we decided, okay, well, whatever, we're gonna
We'll
camp
just
at
put the
this.
tent, yeah.
We're gonna camp at this temple. And then they showed up and they were like, yeah, but there are snakes here. And I said, no, they don't crawl into our tent, no worries. In the end, they went to get the person who was responsible for the village elder or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he came over and he gave permission
Yeah.
to camp.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was me.
So you appreciate all the kindness of people.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's
absolutely.
probably, I'm guessing, yeah, I think appreciation would be the way.
Yeah,
I've
I
done
think it's
something.
also like sometimes we camp in the garden. Even like on this trip in Cambodia, we would there was this house on stilts,
Yeah,
and they let us camp in the garden. We even could have slept in their house if we
Right,
wanted to,
right.
but that was okay. I think it's also for them is that you give them a little bit of, oh, it stopped.
What?
The movie. Your movie.
Movie? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Yes, 20 minutes is when. Actually, it's still going on probably. But that's the. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we'll put it back in the same. Like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you also giving, when you camp in somebody's garden, you also are giving something to this family because they like to hear your story and
That's true.
share stories
Sure.
at night.
Yeah.
And then in exchange for that you're getting a night of sleep.
So next day you
Some
leave and they're
security,
shaking
and
you.
yes, and sometimes when they say goodbye they got tears
I
in their
know.
eyes.
I know.
It's
The smile is so.
you connect to people.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful story. So that's in a general way that you get this excitement or the appreciation of why.
Well, that's that's one of the reasons why you keep doing it, why it's
Right.
also a little bit addictive, because then in 2019 I thought, okay, I'm gonna go one more time.
Yeah.
I wanted to go around the world. That was still like the biggest dream, yeah. But then I got to about Texas, and then my mom called, like, listen, there is this virus in China. You're going to China as well,
COVID.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then I said, oh yeah, but that's in about 3 months. It will be fine by then. But no.
You're going toward
It's-
the China.
Yeah, I was going towards China. I was in the States, in
Right.
Texas. And then it didn't go away. So COVID started and it went worldwide and everything was in lockdown. And by the time we were reaching California, I was also with a friend at the time. Campsites were closed, hotels were closing down. I saw Las Vegas without tourists, no tourists whatsoever. And then by the time I had already booked, first I booked because that time I wanted to do everything over land. So I went with a cargo ship. I left the Netherlands or Belgium actually by cargo ship to Montevideo, cycled up all the way South America, hitchhiked the Caribbean with sailing boats and cycled every island. And then from Miami, I was on my way to Los Angeles. And then everything was shut down. There was no other way. I had first booked already a cargo ship from Ensenada in Mexico to Yokohama
Wow.
in Japan, and it was cancelled. So then I thought, okay, I'll fly from Los Angeles to Tokyo. And Japan for the longest time was still open because of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
in the end they decided to move the Olympics to the next year, or not do it in 2020. And then 2 days before my flight to Japan also closed its borders. I was not allowed to go anymore.
Yeah.
If the borders had been open, I would have most probably still gone to Japan. And then but then I would have stranded in Japan because the whole world was closing down, right? So I had to, from LA, I had to go home. And so after COVID, I thought I'd better wait a little bit until I'm sure that the whole world is open again. I didn't want to go back to LA and finish the trip, or fly from the Netherlands to Japan and finish the trip. I thought, no, I just gonna start again. I'll go the other way around. If I only get to Japan, at least I did 2 halves of the world, you know. And I decided to do it different this time. I invited this friend of mine. He's from El Salvador. He has very different passport, very different financial situation. But I thought, if I can just make one other person in this world that could never travel as much as I did happy,
Mm-hmm.
then that's my gift. You know, it's like a gift back. So he is actually cycling with me, but he's still in Japan because.
So to get to Japan, how did you get there?
How did we get to Japan? Okay, we traveled from the Netherlands through all the different European countries, came to Istanbul, crossed Turkey, did a little bit of Russia. Didn't really want to go to Russia, but well, a few days. Then Kazakhstan, then through Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. So we stayed in all the Stan countries. A little bit more of Kazakhstan, then I went through China. He had no China visa. He went through Russia because El Salvador didn't need a visa for Russia. And we met again in Mongolia. We cycled all the way to Ulaanbaatar. And then we had a problem because I thought in Ulaanbaatar we are gonna get his visa for China. But they wanted to let us wait for 1 month, and then it was still not sure. So what we decided to do is then, if we cannot go to China, we'll fly straight south. So we're still cycling the whole eastern circle. And straight south on the map was Laos. So we flew to Vientiane in Laos, and then we did a whole extra circle because we were going to go China, South Korea, Japan. So that was very short, yeah? Now we went Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Borneo, to the Philippines, Taiwan, to Okinawa, and then to Japan. So it was it was like a detour of about 8,000 kilometers or something like that.
How long was that portion? 5 months? 4 months?
That was about, let me see, we came to Laos in November, and now I'm here, so it's July, yeah? November,
So 6 weeks
December,
ago,
it's like almost it's like 7.5 months or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Japan first time?
No. I studied Japanese when I was young for 3 months in Fukayashi, Saitama ken desu.
Fukaya, I know that.
私は少し日本語を話すことができます。でも3ヶ月だけ勉強しました。だいたい全部忘れました。
No, you're doing just fine. So that was the first time. So this is the second time.
Yeah, this was second time. So I was, and now I remembered a lot of words. Like it was all coming back to me. Yeah, yeah. So it was really fun to be in.
How was the first impression and the second time to?
The first impression, I was very young still, and
was it a good experience?
Yeah. I was studying for 3 months in this school.
Right.
And then after these 3 months, I thought, some of the students will go travel Japan with me. But nobody had the Interrail pass. So I had to call my mom and say, Mom, can you come to Japan? And she traveled with me through Japan. So we also did things like going to the Holland village, Huistenbos. It's close to Nagasaki. Close to Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that this time. So I tried to do a little bit different this time. We went to we cycled through this area with the very beautiful historic village like Takayama, Narai, up to Nagano. Went to see the snow monkeys. Close to Nagano, and then we came down to Mount Fuji. So we did all the way Kagoshima to Tokyo by bicycle.
Wow.
Yes. And
Tell me a few stories in Japan.
A few stories in Japan.
Just one or two. I'm curious.
Well, this guy that let us stay at his house, I told you before, he then, in the end, in the morning, we said goodbye, and he had tears in his eyes, and he couldn't say goodbye. So we were going to a ferry, and then he followed us with the motorcycle, and he wanted to buy us breakfast on the way, and I'm like, no, but the ferry is going at a certain hour, we gotta keep going. And then he came with us to the ferry, and he waved us goodbye, but then it turned out that he was very sick, and he had like cancer in his lungs.
Oh, wow.
And he was walking every day like 10 kilometers to keep alive,
Really?
to stay alive. So maybe we are the last foreigners that he had traveled a lot himself. He spoke Spanish with my friend. And so maybe we were the last foreigners that he could actually talk to and get into his house.
It was. Communicate those guys or not so
I
much?
gave him my email. Like, send me an email and I send you some pictures, but he didn't send me an email,
maybe
so
not much,
maybe he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So another story in Japan. Oh yeah, coming into Yokohama, we were almost in Yokohama, but like 40 kilometers before Yokohama, it's already very, very busy with cities, busy place. So, and we were like, we have to spend so many nights in hotels in Yokohama and Tokyo. So we didn't want to spend more money in hotels, and then
Right.
I'm like, oh good, look, there's a little river running through this city.
Yeah, I know.
There is some green there. Okay. And then we found the river, and the river was lower
Yeah.
than the city. So
Yeah.
we went down to the green, and we just camped
Right.
in the middle of a Japanese city.
No
Yes.
homeless people there?
No, I've never seen any homeless in
Wow.
Japan. No, and I was surprised because 30 years ago, I don't think there was many other people than Japanese people living in Japan, and now we met many people from Nepal, from Pakistan, from India, and they were
Mm.
all like working in Japan because
Oh, that's
you
right.
don't have enough youngsters,
That's
right,
right,
to do the
that's
work.
right. Yeah.
Yes, so we were surprised by that, and I really have to get back to Japan.
Why?
I was so surprised, like going from Kagoshima to Nagasaki.
Mhm.
We crossed a few small islands. There was beautiful bicycle paths, and the coastline is so pretty. When I traveled Japan by train, I thought like from Tokyo to Kyoto that I never left any cities, but this time it's beautiful to
Small
cycle. If you
villages
go,
here and
yeah,
there.
if you go a little bit through the mountains and you follow rivers, and
Yeah.
there's many green,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of green,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot of beautiful nature.
Mhm.
What I also very much liked is then you do it in a way that you have a river, then it's all the rice fields, and then the village is in the background. And we cycled between the river and the rice fields, so it felt very green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, surprised how much nature.
Did you
Japan
go to
is.
Izu Peninsula? There's Mount Fuji and south there's a peninsula. You
No.
don't go. Hakone, you remember? No.
No, I remember
You
the
went
name
nearby
Hakone, but
Mount Fuji,
yes, we actually we went to Mount Fuji.
right?
From Nagano, we went
Yeah,
to Mount
okay.
Fuji,
Right,
and then to Tokyo.
right.
So yeah, we camped one night at the lake, Kawa something.
Kawaguchiko. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
And we
see.
were very lucky because it had been good weather for 3 days, so we really wanted to get to Mount Fuji because the next day it was gonna rain, and we managed to see it. We saw
All
Mount
right.
Fuji.
So let me ask you, what's the future?
The future, I think I think this is my last bicycle trip. I'm 56 now, so it's the
You've
cycling.
done covered so many
Yeah,
places.
I've already, so
Yeah.
I gotta do something different.
Hmm.
My good friend that I'm cycling with, he's from El Salvador.
Yeah.
He wants to stay a little while in the Netherlands with me and work. And then I think we're gonna go to his community
Hmm.
and try to develop something there.
Hmm.
He lives in a small fishing village very close to Guatemala,
Yeah.
and it has so much potential for tourism.
Let me ask this way. Sorry to interrupt, but just curiosity. You are going through the boundaries of the nations and passing by and one to the next, and also exploring the future without much constraint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people usually have some habitual pattern, feel comfortable, but you are more outgoing and, curious, explore the world.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get that sense of that attitude or the?
I think I basically have always had it because my first job was
Yeah.
working at a campsite in France.
Right,
Then I was a tour guide in the former Yugoslavia.
right.
Then I went to work in Hawaii for 1.5 years.
Oh, I
As
see.
a 25-year-old, I was in paradise.
Yeah,
Then I was guiding bus tours in the
Mhm.
United States.
yeah.
So basically, I've been living out of suitcases my
So
whole
you
life.
you see people as people, not Japanese or American, but they are just the people. Just you can communicate, and there's fundamental things that you
Yeah.
can relate to because
I speak Dutch, German, English, Spanish, French, and
Little
Skosi
Japanese.
Nihongo.
okay.
Yes, so yeah, I communicate with everybody. Tomorrow, I'm gonna round the island of Oahu.
You'll be leaving
Um,
tomorrow here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the what is it, western point, northwestern point. There is no road.
Right.
I have to like maybe walk with my bike maybe I can
Going across?
cycle it. Yeah, but then I'll go down the west coast,
Right,
and
right.
the guy here at the reception says, well, "Be careful because there's a lot of homeless."
Yeah, right.
I said, well, then I kind of have to blend in, right?
So,
Yes.
any comment to whoever may be watching this about
I
your
talk
life?
to everybody. What?
Any comment to the people who,
Live your dreams.
Yeah.
Have dreams.
yeah,
Keep dreaming,
Yeah.
and then at some point you gotta say, okay, now this is it. I'm gonna go.
yeah,
I'm gonna go. And the most difficult part is to leave your house behind, to close that door behind you,
yeah,
and actually step into the world
right.
and keep going.
Why you say it's the most difficult? Because you have
Because
gone through
you,
that.
yes, every time
There's
I
something
leave,
is
every
pulling you
time I
backward.
leave for a longer time, like
Yeah.
this time it's 2 years.
And the friends and all the.
The first day that you just have to close that door behind you, it's the biggest step.
And when
it's
you
like
are
a
out, do
hurdle.
you communicate all the people around, or you don't communicate as much? Because
Yeah,
you're busy
the-
with the.
I post pictures on
Ah.
Facebook,
Okay.
and there's
People can see how
certain
you're doing.
friends and family that I call with,
Okay.
yeah, and they comment and I comment back, and yes, some WhatsApp, yeah. So
Did
that's-
Did I forget any important question I should have asked you? That's a weird question.
Yeah, did I forget anything?
No, you said about the
No.
dream. You know,
Yes.
live with your
Live your
dream.
dreams.
Yeah.
And I always, another phrase that I use a lot, because one of my books is called the Road to Get Lost,
Yeah.
is that the world is too beautiful to never get lost.
Mm. Yeah, you find something somewhere.
You always
any place.
find something
Exactly.
somewhere at any place, yes.
I was visiting one of those beautiful beach, and right next to it's the forest down here,
Mhm.
and it's homeless people there. But it was just a beautiful place next to the beach, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, you always find something.
There's always some
There's
beautiful
always
place.
something. And
Yeah, instead of
Yes.
the people say you have to go there, take picture, and bring back. It's not like that. You can find all the your
Mhm.
own special place
yeah,
with all the memories.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, that's it. Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Well, I'll do something about it.